Hi, I'm Tony from Yokohama Tyre Australia. On this trip with the Yokohama Navara, we've decided to fit it up with some Yokohama AT-XDs. They're an all-terrain tyre. In America, they do use them on the heavier vehicles over there in commercial use, and it's more aimed at people who are going to be off-road more than they're going to be on-road. There's quite a lot of features built into this tyre. It's built with a light truck construction, so the carcass of the tyre's got a 3-ply sidewall, helps with a bit of strength in that sidewall. Also protects against side impacts and fractures where you might actually damage the tyre. When you come up the sidewall of the tyre, you've got side biters there, which will also help. Once the tyre's down and in the mud and the nasty stuff, it gives you a little bit more traction and bite so that your tyre doesn't spin when you want it to get traction. One of the vital things is having tyre pressure set correctly as you go into it. We started out in the weekend at around about 19 pound, and then as the track's got a little bit worse and a bit muddier, we dropped down to about 17 pound. At 17, the tyre does get a little bit of flex in the sidewall. That also helps with the traction side of things, makes the footprint of the tyre a little bit larger as well, so your contact patch on the ground has got more ability to get better traction. So with the range, we decided to go with the all-terrain tyre, meaning that it'll do a multitude of things quite well. Once you get into the more aggressive tyres, a mud tyre, similar to what Simon has on his vehicle, it is really an off-road tyre that's going to be primarily used for off-road. This one has got good road behaving characteristics, but also has lots of off-road ability. Sort of tyre you could put on, you could travel around Australia and do pretty much anything you throw at it. Here on the 4-drive TV camera car, we've fitted up the Yokohama MT G003. This is the entry point mud tyre that we have, perfect for what these guys are doing, which is literally running all over the countryside, following Simon into some pretty gnarly sort of situations. The tyre itself is quite an aggressive pattern, obviously open tread block pattern to clear the mud and get maximum traction. Side biters on the side there once again, once you let the tyre pressures down, the tyre will get a larger footprint, and the side biters have come into their own in deep ruts to give you traction. On the particular tyre, it's got a raised section just beside the rim, and that was a little bit of protection for the rim there so that you don't damage the rim. And it's got plenty of protection in that sidewall. Solid 3-ply construction in there to prevent staking in through the sidewall. Generally a tyre like that on a vehicle like this, off-road, you'd probably start at around about 20 pound, and then you could work any way down to probably about 17 pound, depending on how bad the situation gets. Very durable, very capable tyre. Perfect setup for this vehicle. Yesterday got in a situation without 4-drive and managed to get quite a long way up a muddy, rutted track and had plenty of traction. So what we have here on Simon's Iveco is the Yokohama XMT. This is the most aggressive tyre that we have in the country. Obviously for the work that Simon's doing, week in, week out, it's extreme. You've all seen the footage. The whole concept of this tyre is maximum traction in the gnarliest type conditions. So it's one of those situations where you want a nice open tread pattern, give you plenty of traction, lets that mud extract out of the tyre so you're maximising your grip. Quite deep lugs. On a tyre of this size, you're probably looking around about 15 millimetres or so of tread depth. You can see how they've worn, and Simon's had them on here for a few months and done 25,000 Ks on them and tortured them off-road in a good way. They've handled what he's put at it quite well. They look in really good condition really for the work that he's been doing with them. Features of the tyre, obviously it's a light truck construction being this size. The tyre itself's got quite a high bead guard on here. That's again to try and protect the rim itself from any damage. The sidewall, generally speaking, the plies will come down around the bead and the turn up goes around the bead and comes back up towards the side biter. You get quite a lot of strength in this tyre, and you have to let a lot more air out of it to get that balloon tape sidewall so that you get a bigger footprint on it. Simon's running anywhere from 18 to 15 pound on this particular tyre on the truck. It's an extremely heavy truck, so the scenario is obviously needing it strong enough, but also having enough flotation in the tyre so that the tyre can work and do what it's supposed to do. Side biters, ultimately there for side traction. You're getting into those deep ruts or having rocks either side. The whole concept is to have traction when you need traction. We saw plenty of footage over the weekend where the truck was clearing out what was underneath it and getting plenty of traction to climb up those gnarly climbs. If you need to know more about the Yokohama tyre, they're available in over 1,000 locations around Australia. There's quite a big network that supports the Yokohama product. There's a whole lot of information available out there, plenty of reviews. we're getting out more and more with the products to test them, and that gives us better feedback on what customers are looking for in a tyre. Check out our full range at yokohama.com.au.